everyone, and welcome to Behind the Mic Radio. And I'm your host, Dawn Mack, and so very glad to be here with you this evening. And we've had a few nights off, and we've, of course, been working very hard behind the scenes, to bring you some guests moving forward for the coming months. But, yeah, we've taken a little time off, and I must tell you, it feels good to be back on air tonight and joining everyone here. We are so excited about our show tonight because we not only have a director who has just created this phenomenal web series, but we have a couple of the cast members with us as well, which I think is just awesome, and we're going to be introducing them in just a moment. Just so you know, I want to give you a little background on this because it is an amazing web series, and I think it's going to be a huge hit. The web series is called Kin, just simply Kin, and it brings front and center the issues of sex, salvation, and secrets for a millennial African-American man living in Brooklyn who has feelings for two very different people. And I'm not going to give anything away, but it's a great web series. And basically, in a nutshell, it basically opens, webisode 1 opens with Ken bringing to bear his internal fight to maintain an outward devotion to Christianity while battling questions about his sexuality. And, of course, in our modern-day society, this is a very looming, prevalent issue that I think many people are in this situation and that struggle. And so it's going to be very interesting to hear from the director as well as the cast. It's directed by Director Guild of America member Eddie Griffith, and this is his web series. It stars a whole host of people. Let me make sure I get all the names right. Jarrett Janako, Krystal Farris, Yarc Lewison, Leanne Rose, and Travon McCall. And so tonight we are very, very happy to introduce to you Eddie Griffith, Travon McCall, and Felicia. Hold on just a moment. Let me get everybody connected here. Hello. Do I have everybody on the line?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
I can certainly hear all of you. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yes, I can.
Oh,
hey,
excellent.
Felicia.
Excellent.
Hey, Eddie.
Hi, Ron. What's going on?
Not much. Good to hear your voice. Good to hear you.
Good to hear you. Please.
Well, I just want to welcome all of you to the show this evening and to talk about this exciting new web series entitled Kin that, as I understand, is really getting some attention and is really making strides so far in the world of web series. So, Eddie, I want to start with you and talk a little bit about how this whole idea came about for you.
Basically, it came about after working on a bunch of shows. I've been working in production for like 9 years, and never really seeing this story being told about faith. I wanted to start with the idea of someone dealing with their faith and their religion and their Christianity, and I wanted to deal with sexuality because I felt like it wasn't being talked about. And for me as a creator, I really liked going there and just going to another realm where I don't see people are really discussing it. Mm-hmm. So that's where it came about. It came about just really wanting to talk about someone dealing with their faith. And Ken is, at the end of the day, Ken is someone dealing with what he believes is right versus what he thinks is wrong, but it feels right to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's where it really came from. Yeah, I could go on and on, but I'll just stop right there.
Well, and I think it's a brilliant concept because, as we are in an age where, sexuality is now, so just such a huge part of our society. And of course, there are people out there who, gays and lesbians who are Christians and probably feel stigmatized to a point because, they almost feel like, well, I can't be a Christian if I'm gay or lesbian because, in some Christian circles, it's not acceptable to just come out of the closet or to even, let people know, what my sexual orientation is. And I think this really does create a platform to get people talking about this because, I think, too, Christians are also stereotyped because I think a lot of times we as Christians get a bad rap by people accuse us of being so judgmental of people from other cultures, origins, or whatever the case may be, and that's hardly the case for true Christians who walk in the faith and know that it is a faith of love and acceptance. And that means acceptance of all people, no matter who they are, race, gender, or sexual orientation. That is what it is supposed to be and what it is all about.
I completely agree with you completely. I am just a part of it as a Christian. Part of it comes from I think what happens is that the church and Christians can then, for lack of better words, they can isolate someone who you can feel isolated if you're dealing with same-sex attraction, and you can feel like, okay, well, there's no one I can talk to, there's no one I can turn to, and then it can even link to a bigger thing of, you're questioning, does God love me? Do I have faith? Am I saved? All these bigger issues that we'll see as the character as Ken develops. That's what it stems from too. I mean, like I said, it's at the end of we deal with a lot of sexuality, and it's a very, it's a witty show, and it's a quick show, and it's a sexy show. But at the core of it, it's a show really about faith. And so you have this gentleman, Ken, dealing with these issues, and it comes from me seeing, knowing, and my own personal experience, understanding, that even as Christians, the Christian world, the Christian body isn't as very accepting of folks as it should be. And so Ken is an answer to that. I just want to me, as a creator and as a writer, I wanted to expose, I just want to really put it out there that, hey, man, there are Christians who are dealing with themselves and who are trying to figure themselves out, and it's okay. That's what I really wanted to do, you know what I mean? As a creator, that's the point of the show. And, of course, I like to laugh, so, of course, the show is witty, and I want, good actors, and we have good acting and all those different little things. But at the end of the day, I wanted to make a show on a social level. I wanted to just really put it out there. I've seen so many shows, whether it be on Webseries or short films or features or TV, whatever. And anytime we talk about the black experience or the black Christian experience, it always relegates to like, okay, well, someone's a womanizer, or someone's dealing in drugs, or someone's had an addiction, those kind of issues, or there's molestation, or there's other kind of issues. And it's just like, these are some great people with pretty good hearts, and they are in a place of, they're, for the most part, all these characters actually are Christian, and that's the centerpiece of the show. That they're all Christian, and, we're dealing with sexuality. I've never seen this. You know what I mean? No one deals with black sexuality in this manner, and no one deals with black homosexuality and Christianity. You know what I mean? And I know it's heavy topics. I know it's hard and heavy. I totally get that, but it's 2013, I feel like we're at a point in our society where we can talk about it. I think we're in a season where we can start really dealing with this, whatever side of the fence you believe in or whatever. I really feel like just to start talking and having that dialogue and stop putting things in a secret. When we put things in a secret, we kill it, and we don't give it life. So it's supposed to give stuff life, you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. I agree with you. And it's interesting that you mentioned this, because I have a white male friend who is gay, and he and I had a very similar conversation some time ago, and he was sharing with me that he's a Christian, and he was raised in the church, and that it just got to a point in his adult life where he stopped attending because he felt like an outcast. He was
right.
Even though no one directly outwardly shunned him or did anything, it was just subtle nuances of the underlying aggression and the outcast that made him feel that way, and to the point that he just quit attending church. And I think that's sad, because if you're a Christian and you want to go to church for the right reasons, regardless of your orientation, you should be able to go to church, because you're wanting to grow in your faith just like a straight person is.
Salvation is for everybody. He didn't go on a cross for only those who deal with this and only those. Salvation is for everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no sin greater than the other.
That's right.
That's the idea, and that somehow it's translated to folks separating and the folks condemning folks. And it's like, I get it, you don't understand. I totally get it, you don't understand. I get it, you may not approve. I totally get it. I get it, you may even find it disgusting. I totally get it. At the end of the day, the point of our faith and the point of our journey is to love. Jesus Christ he died on the cross for all our sins. So why you coming with hate when you're supposed to love? And I think that's in my experience in going to church, we're always talking about, people are always so quick to talk about, when it comes to deliverance, or quick to talk about, people are quick to tell the stories about addiction or self-esteem or these other issues, and it's like, well, there's a whole, what does the status say? The status say like 10% of people, whatever the status is, there's a whole group of people that you're forgetting about. There's a whole group of people that are talented, gifted, strong, and loved by God that need to feel that love and that need to know that, hey, the church has my back, and don't need to feel isolated come Sunday morning. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. Oh yeah, I do exactly. And I think that I think that the fact that you picked up on the mere reality that there's nothing else out there like this that addresses this and gets people talking, I think was just absolutely brilliant, because and the coolest thing about it is that you're Christian, your cast are Christians, and you're able to add that additional dimension to this web series, and that may not have been found anywhere else, which I just think is phenomenal. And so,
thank you.
Travon, I want to talk to you and Felicia a little bit about your involvement with this project. How did you get tapped for it, and why did you decide to be a part of it?
Felicia, you can go first. Ladies first.
Thank you so much. Well, a couple of months ago, Eddie came to me with the script for the web series, and at the first reading, I think he remembers, like, the first page, I was like, I'm in. It was an eye-opener. It's something I never think of, especially as a female on the other side, and it's something that I feel like the dialogue that should be had within the community, because as a true Christian, we want to make sure everyone feels included and feels like they are part of the family, and this is a thing that you normally don't think of unless it's someone who's close to you. So I came on. I'm actually the producer of the show and help Eddie kind of get this to the screen, get this to the web series, get this to you so people could see what this is. And it's an incredible piece. It's like Eddie said, it's not just serious. It's also very funny at points. And I think a lot of women especially can relate more than they think they would. Especially with the topic, and it's really great piece.
Travon?
How did I get into this? Well, I was lucky enough to audition for it like 3 times with Eddie. He put me through the ringer. It's something where I auditioned for it and was lucky enough that he had me on board in a project like this, which is really, really unique. And I remember reading when I first submitted myself to even audition for it. I wasn't sure because you see things out there and they say they want to deal with a topic like this, but they're not well done. It's not professional. It's not well thought out. And so I submitted myself anyway, and then I remember getting to the audition and having a chance to read the script, and I was like, this is really, really, really good. And it's something that can be great and outstanding and excellent, just based off the writing, the concepts, the idea, and the writing. I felt like it was a project that I knew I wanted to be a part of, no matter what my beliefs are, just because from a creative standpoint and an artistic standpoint, it's something that is original and I haven't seen done. And I think the level of writing and the level of creativity that Eddie has applied to this is something that makes us really, really stand out, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Thank you. Can I just say that Travon? Can I just say really quick so the world can know? I knew when Travon auditioned. When Travon auditioned the first time, I was like, okay, there's something about this guy we got to keep. There's something about this guy I kept. But the thing is, when you audition people, you can't really tell them, you know, oh, I like you. We got to put you in. We got to bring you in. But, like, so we were teaching them a bunch of different ways. Okay, maybe he could be Ken. Maybe he can be Duke. Yeah. But I think it works. So I always knew in my heart this guy, you know, had it. So he just brings such a level of dignity and sinisterness and funny to this character that this character needs, because Duke he's such a layered character. He can come off really like a jerk, but there's a little bit of funny in Duke and all the characters, and that Travon brings to the character. So Travon just brings a whole nother level to it, and he just brings it to life, and that's why he's here on the screen, and it's awesome.
No, it's something I appreciate. Real quick, I'm sorry. I think the beauty of Duke in that role is that depending on what side of the fence you are, because people will choose sides when they watch this, or they'll at least be like, ooh, like he's either the protagonist from one perspective, but he's also the antagonist if you look at it from another. You know, you either really, really like him for what he stands for, or you really, really don't like him because of what he stands for. And that's why I really enjoy playing Duke, and that's the significance of Duke in this, you know, in our web series.
Yeah, and another component to this web series that I want to touch on is the whole two relationship dynamic, because you have, you know, Ken, who is in you know, a heterosexual relationship with a woman, and he's also developed feelings for, you know, a male, and he's, you know, that struggle, and he's a Christian on top of everything, and you know, and you've also not only addressed the Christian component to all this, but also the fact that there are, in reality, there are people every day who struggle with the whole, you know, in a relationship with the opposite sex per se, but yet they realize what their true sexual orientation is, and you know, and they've got that struggle going on too. So, talk a little bit about that.
You know what? Ken comes from. He's a fictional character based on real people, and there are men who I know who are, you know, who have been married or engaged or whatever, but in their core of their persons, they have been attracted to men. They've been with women, they've been, you know, engaged or whatever, sometimes even married, but there's a part of them that's very much attracted to men, not just sexually, but emotionally. For this character, because I wanted someone, you know what, this character is really inspired by, it may not seem like it, but he was inspired by Walter White, he was inspired by Don Draper, these men who you love to hate, who you're kind of rooting for in the very beginning, and then, like, towards the middle of the show, you're like, oh, my God, I hate you. I wanted to show someone who wasn't perfect. I wanted to show someone who was really, really flawed, and see him go through this journey. From a writing standpoint, I wanted to show someone who we see going in. Okay, we see him coming from one place. We see him coming from a place of confusion to going to a place of acceptance, going to a place of, okay, this is who I am. On which side of the fence he comes from. For me, I didn't want to just make a story about a man dealing with sexuality. I wanted to show a woman dealing with herself. I wanted to show a Christian, because I know a lot of black single women, and I wanted to show that story. So that's why there's Stephanie there, his ex-fiance. So it serves, in a social aspect, it serves as someone who we're dealing really with the crux of sexuality. We're dealing really with someone who's coming into their own, who perhaps is bisexual or gay or whatever, you know what I mean, but doesn't identify as gay, but just, you know, identifies as someone who's attracted to men. So I wanted to show that, but I really wanted to show all these characters. I really wanted to show Stephanie's side of it was, what do you do when your man tells you that he's attracted to men? Do you stay? Does the Christian in you stay because he is being honest, or do you leave because you know what you know? You're like, I can't even deal with this. I'm not even, you know, I'm not here for this. So I wanted to show, and plus I wanted to make these really interesting characters, and that's why we have Stephanie and stuff like that. So I had to make him a character who was coming from a heterosexual relationship before he even thinks about his homosexuality.
And I think that's great because, like I said, you've addressed so many different components here that people deal with every day in society in this realm, you know, and the struggles. And I have a very good question for you, if you don't mind. You know, why do you think, Eddie, that there tends to be more of a stigmatism with black people who come out of the closet, you know, or realize that they're gay or lesbian? Why do you think it's so much harder, and why do you think that it tends to be kind of a pushback more for blacks? You know, it just seems to be, in my experience of seeing it, it's just not, I don't know what it is, and it should, you know, there should be no difference, in my opinion, in someone who is black and gay or lesbian than someone who is white, Hispanic, or whatever, you know, their ethnic origin or their color may be. But why do you think that is? Because I think the fact that, you know, this is specifically a black comedy, dramedy, I think that also pulls in a whole other dynamic that is going to have people talking in it, you know, that gets some conversation going. I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you, Why do I think it's such an issue? You know why? I'll be honest with you. This is the God's honest reason I think it's such an issue. I think it's an issue because God, I hate to make blanket statements like this, but I'm going to say this. I think some black people place such an issue on homosexuality because it is representative of someone who's weak. It is representative of someone who's not a man. I think our community, the black community, is based in religion, and so because religion says they take one part of the Bible, they forget about the rest of it. We're talking about love and inclusion. They take one part of the Bible, which speaks against homosexuality, which speaks against people people of differences, and they use it as a crutch. It's frowned upon because we tend to be a culture who doesn't accept it. So then you have a bunch of men and women who may not be living their true, honest lives because they're scared of what their families may think, their friends may think, their colleagues, their community, their church friends, their college, whatever. All these people that they know and they spend time with and that they love and love them, they're scared of it. So then when they stay in the closet, as to not to be disowned or disfriended or just to be pushed aside by people, I think that's what keeps people away. But the one thing I will tell you is, if you live in honesty and you live in truth, and this is with whatever it is you're dealing with, whether it doesn't have to even be with sexuality. It could just be whatever you're dealing with or whatever your issue is, whatever. If you live in honesty and you live in truth and you accept who you are, you acknowledge it, and you walk with confidence, no one can't tear you down. And I've seen that in my own life. I think sometimes if we're honest and we claim it and we own who we are, people won't shut you down, period. And you'd be surprised at the reaction once you stand firm in your word and who you are. And it doesn't have to be gay or straight. It could just be, standing and being a man, standing and being a woman, standing and being, a creative, standing and being someone who's an intellect, whatever. Just stand firm in your word and be confident in who you are, and people have no choice but to listen. Even if they don't agree with it, they have no choice but to listen because you put it in their face. And I think a lot of times in the black community, because we're scared of people, family letting us down, religious issues, whatever, we don't stand firm in our word. I think that's why the black community gets such a bad rap when it comes to homosexuality, because it's not the case. Because I've learned, even when promoting Kent, people are like, okay, cool. People are ready to listen. I'm talking about old people. Some people go to church every single time. I'm talking about women who watch nothing but Tyler Perry movies all day. I'm talking about people who really, who aren't as open-minded as you would think, who are just like, you know what, you put it out there, so I have no choice but to listen. I can either receive it or not. But, once you put it out there, you stand in confidence, man, nobody can tell you nothing.
And you make some very good points, because I think if you come from a place, like you said, of honesty and integrity, people can't dispel that. They may not agree with it, but they can't say you're not being honest, or they can't deny that you're being honest and that you have that integrity about you if you're being true to who you are, no matter what that is. And you know, and I think that this web series will be well received because, like you say, it opens the door of dialogue between people, and this makes it okay and it makes it easy for people to talk about it, as opposed to two people sitting down and, okay, let's have a conversation about this. This gives people a talking point to start from, and then from there it can go. And you know, and I think it's tragic in a way that the black community, black men in particular, that, you know, realize they're gay and they are afraid for any number of reasons, you know, because of that stigma, because of that pushback and unacceptance of who they really are. I think it's sad that they have that mindset that, you know, I can't come out because of this or that reason. I think in the gay community as a whole, that's kind of the mindset as it is because of the way society deems it at times, you know, certain aspects of society. But in the grand scheme of things, it is a part of our society. And like you say, I mean, there is a huge difference between religion and Christianity. Christianity is of God. It's based on God's word. Religion is man-made. It's made to suit man's ideals and beliefs. So, you know, coming from a place of religion, there are people who endeavor in religion that have their own preconceived notions about the way the world is supposed to work and what's supposed to exist and what's not acceptable, as opposed to Christianity, which the whole premise of that is love and acceptance. So, you know, and I think a lot of times as a culture, we tend to forget that, you know, that's really what it's all about at the end of the day.
Right. That's so good. That's cool. That's good, Dawn. That's very good.
That just kind of came to me. Maybe that was God speaking to me. I don't know. But, I mean, seriously, I mean, that's just kind of my perception of it. I try really hard, you know, just, you know, in studying all this stuff. Religions, if you think about all the different denominations out there, why they were created, why you have Baptists, Presbyterians, and Methodists and Protestants, because people in that belief system, for whatever, these religions were created to serve their purposes and their beliefs and their goals or whatever. But Christianity is universal. There is no separation. You know, it's just all one. Totally. And that's really the way it's supposed to be. And that means if you're walking as a true Christian, then you accept people for who they are, regardless of their race or their gender or you know, sexual orientation and all that. So it's so important to remember that.
So important. Oh, you hit it right on the head.
Just think what a great world this would be if people really did look at one another that way instead of trying to stereotype or categorize or put them in this box or that. The world would be a lot better place to live in, quite frankly.
Yeah, sure would.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, but I could talk to you for hours about this topic. But I want to thank all of you so very much for being on the program this evening and talking about Ken. It sounds like a phenomenal web series. And if you will, Eddie, tell folks where they can go and watch the first 2 episodes that have come out.
You can watch it on YouTube/Ken Web Series. We have the first 2 episodes and cast interviews, and also our third interview. I know it's been a while, but our third installment of Ken is coming very, very soon this month. I promise. I know it's between my cast and people who've been following, everyone's asking me about that third episode. The third episode really is the 1-2 knockout. So yeah. So the third episode is coming out. So you can like us on Facebook at Ken Web Series. You can like us on Twitter at Ken Web Series. You can contact me at Twitter and Eddie Winning, and we'll be doing a crowdfunding after the third episode airs through Indiegogo to get some more Ken Web Series out.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, Eddie, Felicia, and Travon, thank you so very much for your time this evening and sharing with us about Ken and your thoughts on this topic. And definitely it is a project that will have people talking for a good while to come. And so thank you so much for taking this on and putting all your heart and soul into it to produce a great project that we all will enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you. You guys have a You have a wonderful night.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Well, we have been speaking with the director of the new web series, Ken, and it has been quite a pleasure to speak with Eddie Griffith and also Travon McCall and Felicia. Just wonderful people, and it was quite an interesting topic, of conversation for this evening's show. If you've not seen the web series, I implore you to go and watch it. It is very interesting, and as Eddie was saying, it is funny. You get a little laugh in here or there, but the storyline is very powerful, and does allow for some great talking points and also some great conversation between folks after viewing it. So it would urge you to check that out. And you were struggling yourself with this issue between your faith and your sexual orientation. I mean, this could be very well a platform and help pave the way for you to kind of make that transition yourself, and hopefully you'll be able to gain something from that, and it will be helpful to you in your journey. So we want to thank again Eddie Griffith and our special guest for being with us this evening. It has been a real pleasure speaking with them. And that looks like that is going to do it for our show for this evening. And we are going to be off for the next few nights, but we will be back here on Monday of next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So we hope that you will tune in. And if you're brand new to our program this evening, thank you for stopping by. We certainly appreciate it. And as always, to all the regular listeners out there, the loyal listeners, thank you for being here with us. So that is going to wrap our show. I want to tell everyone to have a great evening, and I hope that the rest of your week is wonderful. And we'll be back here with you again very soon. Take care all, and have a great night.
Thanks for listening to tonight's show. You can connect to Behind the Mic Radio on Twitter at BT Mic Radio and on Facebook at Behind the Mic Radio. Check out our website at BehindTheMicRadio.com. Also, follow us right here on Blog Talk Radio, where you can stay up to date on all upcoming shows. Every episode is available for immediate download upon the conclusion of each broadcast, and as always on iTunes. Thank you for joining us.